Assalamualaikum and hello. Welcome to Stuttering Professionals, a web series by Asian Association for Stuttering Organizations ASU, which is a project of say Global Foundation. So our today's episode is very special because we have a very special guest with us today. He has struggled all his life with stuttering, and the moment came when his life changed. And since then, he is on fire, unstoppable in his own life, but also helping the stutterers too. So, right from Brisbane, Australia, with us is Neil Paterson. Welcome, Neil. Welcome
Hello,
to.
thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm good, Neil. Thank you for joining us today. And before moving forward, I would like that you introduce yourself in detail so that people would know you, and then we will move forward.
First of all, I'd just like to say that was a lovely introduction, but I'm nowhere near as special as most of the other guests you've had. I haven't written any books. I'm not part of any association. I'm not a leader in any wonderful group around the world. I'm just an average guy trying to help other people out with their stuttering. And this is all I pretend to be. I don't pretend to be anyone who's above anyone else.
That's great, Neil. So, so when you started stuttering, when was that, and how was your childhood?
I started stuttering in grade 2, which is about 7 years old. I don't remember a lot of it, to be honest, and I think the main reason being is I blocked a lot of it out. So I think I had a fairly traumatic time at school because I don't remember a lot of the bad stuff that happened. And I used to always think that I got through school fairly unscathed and no one really picked on me much, but I was talking to my sister a couple of years ago, and she's 2 years older than me, so she went to the same schools that I went to, and she was telling me that I did cop quite a hard time and I was picked on, and she actually stuck up for me quite a few times. So as it turns out, I blocked a lot of the bad stuff out. And I'm not sure how many other stutterers have done this in their life, but most of the bad stuff I've blocked out, which I don't mind because that means I enjoyed school, right?
Yeah, it is. This is you can say the safety mechanism of the brain that keeps you safe from the pain, that you've gone through the pain, but the mind hide those memories to keep you safe, to rethink them again and go through the same pain again and again. So this is the thing with the mind, and the mind works in very mysterious ways. And stuttering is one of those mysteries, but with time and research and people putting effort on this, so it is revealing with time. Yeah.
I do know
So
that I had
yeah.
some really good friends along the way. I had a lot of friends who were very understanding and very accepting of my stuttering, and some of those friends from school are still my friends now. So I think that alone is a really good benchmark of how good friends are when you've known them for 50 odd years, 40, 50 years. That's just a real testament to solid friends. So I do know I had some great friends through school, and unfortunately, I think I had some not so good friends as well.
Yeah. Yeah, this is life. You have very close friends, and those people who are not so close, and those people you don't like, but you are still close. So, yeah. So, how was the transition from school to college and then to uh, university? How you cope with that, and uh, what were your feelings? Like, okay, I'm stuck with this thing or something like that. You are still okay, or you are hopeful before before the turning point that changed your life. So uh, how was all before that?
Well, mum put me through speech therapy when I was maybe 8 years old. And I think I went to speech therapy for about a year and a half. And it was only once a week. And it didn't really do much. But if I remember right, it was the kind of speech therapy where they teach you to speak in a rhythm like this. And I'm sure I thought to myself, I don't want to talk like that in school. I'll get laughed at even more. I'd rather just stutter. So that speech therapy didn't really stick. And I also know, so that didn't help me much in school. I just put up with stuttering, I guess. And I was also a very shy kid. So on top of stuttering, I was shy anyway, or maybe the stuttering caused me to be shy. I'm not sure whichever way it worked. But mum had another crack at putting me through speech therapy when I was about 13 or 14. So I was in high school now, and I must have been struggling with my speech. Otherwise, mum wouldn't have put me through speech therapy again. And I don't remember much about that speech therapy either, but obviously that didn't work. So to answer your question about how I transitioned through school, I think I just kept a low profile. I stuck with my close friends, stuck with my little comfort zone, my little security blanket. Didn't really put myself out there too much. Just kept out of danger. But I know I used to absolutely hate getting up and talking in front of class, as most stutterers do, right?
Yeah.
I used to hate it. And because of stuttering, I actually purposely acted dumb in English, especially. I acted dumb so I wouldn't have to get up and answer too many questions. I just did whatever I could to avoid speaking or putting my hand up, speaking in front of school or anything like that. But funnily, I do have this one really weird memory from high school where I had to get up in front of class with a friend, and we had to do this little play with each other. And I distinctly remember I had to pretend to be someone's mother. So I was talking like this, and oh, you're a bad boy. And I remember not stuttering once. And everyone will, or most people will tell you how that when you put on a different accent, you don't stutter.
Yeah.
So this whole way through this little play, I was acting like a mother and being real angry. And I can remember the class was all up the front, and they were watching me in amazement and laughing away, and they thought it was the best thing ever. But after that day, I never ever tried that again. I just went back to quiet little Neil, stuttering away and keeping out of trouble. But that was the one shining light of my speaking in high school, I guess. After high school, I didn't do university or anything like that, but I did do a 1-year college course and it was a technical or trade-based course because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in life. So it would give you a sample of trades such as carpentry, fitting and turning, mechanics, plumbing, all this kind of stuff. So I did that for 1 year, and I have a terrible memory from that year as well. The first year in one of the classes, it was my first day, and of course there was about 30 kids in the class, and the teacher says, right, everybody yell out their names, starting from the back, come to the front. And of course, as soon as he said that and I knew I had to yell out my name, I was just like, oh my God. And my heart was going boom, boom, boom. Thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? This is going to be devastating. And the closer it got to me, the more restricted I felt, and I just couldn't find any way out of it. And finally, when he got to me, what's your name? And the teacher wasn't looking up either. And of course I go, big block on Neil, huge. And he without even looking up, he yells out, speak up, lad. And so I'm like, and then finally he looked up and he saw that I was having a big block, and he said, stop, I'll talk to you later. And he let me go. And that was a huge relief. But that moment was one of the scariest moments in my life. And I can still feel my heart beating from that day now.
That's true. Yeah.
So that was college. Got through that year. I'm sure I had some other terrible moments, but that one was an absolute standout. And then I got into motor mechanics. I actually had good enough marks to be an architect, but I figured if I was a motor mechanic, I was working with cars, and cars didn't talk back to me, so I wouldn't stutter when talking to cars. So I chose a safe trade. Just the usual stuff. Struggled my way through work, just kept a low profile, found some good friends. Most people were pretty understanding of people who stutter. I think the culture in Australia is pretty understanding. You always find those bullies, of course, who will pick on you or make fun of you.
They are everywhere.
And there's some of them who don't even think it's hurtful. I'm sure they think it's fun, and they don't mean to be hurtful, but they think they're helping you by making fun of it. I'm sure that's how some people think, but we all know that's not how it comes across.
Yeah.
And since then, do you want me to keep going through the rest of my life?
Yeah, sure, please. And do share the turning point too, where, when the Neil came out from the darkness and started shining. Yeah.
When I was about 25, when I was 18, my mum and I decided to have another crack at speech therapy, and she thought she'd take me to a hypnotherapist. And the hypnotherapist, he interviewed me, and he must have thought that I didn't have the right attitude to be hypnotized, because he didn't try any hypnotherapy on me. He decided that it was better to try traditional speech therapy. And I remember he tried all the usual things, the speaking slow or speaking on a beat or trying to put music into your voice. I remember him trying that one. And then one day he ran out of ideas, and he asked me what I thought we should try next. And I was like, you're the speech therapist. What are you asking me for? And so I told Mum this, and as soon as my mother heard that he asked me this question, she took me out of there right away and said, he's obviously useless.
Yeah.
So that was the age of 18. Then I was a mechanic for about 7 years, and I was starting to get confident with myself, I guess, but I was still avoiding situations. I was pretty comfortable with friends. I could speak okay with friends, but any kind of fearful situation, like a job interview or speaking with authority or anything like that, I would have massive blocks, stuttering, really fearful, embarrassing, just had all of those emotions of shame and guilt and all those things we know so well. But I felt I was starting to build confidence in general. And a good friend of mine, a female friend, asked me to go to Europe with her when I was 25. And I was really excited to do that, but also wondering, how can I go to Europe and manage other languages when I can't even speak English properly? What use would that be? So I looked up a few quick speech therapies, and I found smooth speech. Have you heard of smooth speech? Do you know what
Yes,
smooth speech is?
I do. It's a program in Australia, right?
I think it's around other parts of the world too, but
Yeah,
mainly in Australia.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, I just know this. Yeah.
I think it's called something
Smooth
else in
speech.
other parts of the world. Maybe
Okay.
the I'm not even sure. I won't even guess, but I think it is active in America as well. But it's basically about using soft onsets and just being very careful with your. I can't even do it properly now. I
Mhm.
can't do smooth speech technique to do it justice, but it's about soft, gentle onsets and keeping a good, gentle flow going from memory.
Yeah.
So I did smooth speech for a couple of months before I went to Europe, and it did help. I must admit it did help, but I didn't give it enough of a chance because off to Europe I went. And it definitely helped because I know when I went to Europe, I went on a Kentucky tour, which is a bus tour for people between 18 and 35. And I got on with people pretty well. And I don't recall having any trouble as far as people making making fun of my speech or anything like that. So Europe Europe holds pretty good memories for me. And I was in Europe for about 9 months, to be honest. And I ended up in the UK, and I worked there for about 3 months as a mechanic. And when I was looking for jobs, I remember one guy wanted to put me on as a supervisor, and I was like, God, no, I don't want to be trying to tell other people what to do. So no, thank you. So I actually knocked back a really well-paying job because of my stuttering. But that's the story of our lives, right? We've
Yeah.
always been knocking back jobs we could have had or could have taken.
It is. It is.
Rolling on, came back to Australia, and I actually got out of mechanics and I got into roofing, putting roofs on new homes.
Mm-hmm.
So I obviously had enough confidence to leave a trade and start a whole different career. I had the confidence to do that, but stuttering still held me back in a lot of situations. So my confidence in general was building, but I still really struggled with feared situations, still hated the phone, avoided the phone like it was death. Didn't really struggled talking to new people at parties, all that kind of stuff. And then when I got to about 33, 34 years old, I'm not sure what the catalyst was, but I decided to try this other program called the Maguire program. I'd seen it on A Current Affair and heard that it worked quite well. So I gave this a shot. And to this day, I'm not even sure why, because I remember when I went to my first course, I was really skeptical. I thought nothing else has worked. This is not going to work. Why am I even here? So I really went into that course with a skeptical mind, didn't believe anything would work. And on top of that, that weekend, I had a really bad chest cold. So the Maguire program, it's one of the things it teaches you to do is to learn a new breathing technique.
Yes.
And if you have a nasty chest cold, breathing is one thing you struggle with anyway. So the whole weekend I struggled with the breathing. I struggled with any of the technique. It was a 4-day long course. I nearly pulled out on the Saturday because it just wasn't working for me whatsoever. But for some reason, I figured I'd paid the money, so I'd better stick around and give it my best shot. And the course didn't go well for me at all, to be honest. I came off the course and thought that was a waste of money. But when you go through the Maguire program, you're assigned a coach to look after you after the program. And the coach that I got was just a really positive-minded guy, and he knew exactly what buttons to push in me to keep me motivated, to keep me going. So I went to every support group I could go to. I did everything he ever asked me to do. And eventually, the technique started to fall into place. So I'm really glad I persevered, because without that coach, if I had have had a different coach, I may not be speaking to you right now. But after 3 years on the program, I sort of drifted away. Life gets busy, so I left the program for a bit and lost contact with people on the program. And then my stuttering started to get worse again. So I went back to the program, which is one good thing with the Maguire program is you're a lifelong member. So if you lose your way and you struggle, you can go back.
Yes, it is.
Excuse me. So I went back and had another crack, and this time I had a lot more success. And I think it's because I had a different attitude going into it this time, and the technique stuck a lot more. I was using the technique a lot more like I'm doing now. I was really exaggerating technique in public and really getting the hang of it. And after 3 or 4 years, I left the program again. But this time I left to see how I would go in the real world. And this led to the turning point in my life about where I really started to climb. My niece was turning about 22 years old, and she wanted to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And she had some problems with her father, or was having problems with her father. So she asked me to walk her down the aisle and to do the speech. And just to roll back 10 years, just to get a little sidetracked and roll back 10 years, I had a friend ask me to be his best man 10 years earlier. And when he asked me, I was like, what? No, thank you. I'm not sure what I said to him, but I talked my way out of it because being the best man meant you had to do a speech, and there was no
Yes.
way I was doing a speech in front of 30, 40, or 100 people at a wedding. No way. So I talked my way out of it. I forget what I said, but I pushed myself down the queue to be one of the groomsmen, and he put someone else in his best man. So I was like, whew, that was a close one. So roll on back to my niece, and my niece asked me to walk her down the aisle and do a speech at her wedding. And this time I thought, oh, I would love to do that. This will be the best thing ever, and I really look forward to it. So this alone, this thought pattern was a turning moment in my life. The penny dropped then, because I looked back at the earlier time when a friend asked me to be best man, and I knew I couldn't do it. And then the realization when my niece asked me to walk her down the aisle, and the feeling that I really wanted to do it, that's when a penny dropped, and I knew that I had really progressed with my speech. And so I walked her down the aisle, gave a good speech, and I did push through a couple of blocks in that speech. I did stutter a couple of times, but I felt in control. I really enjoyed it. People were laughing at my speech. Everyone enjoyed it. A couple of people congratulated me afterwards. So that whole weekend was just the biggest turning point in my life. And ever since then, I've really started to climb with confidence, and I haven't really looked back since.
That's great.
And just to roll forward a bit more, I got back into the Maguire program in about 2017 to help other people come through, because I knew I was feeling confident, and hopefully I could help other people come through the program who had the same troubles that I had coming through the program. And ever since then, I've just enjoyed speaking with people. I grab every speaking opportunity I can. As you know, I put loads of videos up on Facebook pages, stuttering Facebook pages.
Yeah.
I just try and set a good example to be a positive person, to show people that you can get somewhere if you persevere. You've just got to stick with it and persevere.
Yes.
So that's my life. Good talking to you. Catch you later. No, don't go.
Well, it is like when there is that turning point, like you're going through the program, all those things, but they were still holding back, and the turning point came, and after that, there is since then you are on the runway. This is great. This is great. Like for me too. Like when I graduated from university, so at that time I wrote all the jobs. I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So I wrote down that okay, these jobs descriptions, they require too much talking, like teaching. Okay, this is across, and then sales, marketing across. And okay, I won't apply those. But after 10 years, I taught in a university for like 4 years, and then I started my own firm. I did all those things, sales, marketing, all that stuff I do. Talk a lot with people on call, on interviews with strangers, and so on. So this is the turning point when this comes, and then you are on fire all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is indeed. So for most of the stammerers, what are you think, like you are also at the moment from last 3 years you're working with stammerers. So what are the journal factors you feel that even a stammerer is going through a speech therapy? is not working for a stammerer. So like for each stammerer it's a different case, but there might be some journal factors. Do share those with us.
I think the general factors are everybody, where most people fail is everybody's looking for a quick fix. Everyone wants a quick fix. We all dream of a cure, but we know that's not going to happen. So we're looking for the next best thing. We want the quickest fix we can find. So everybody wants to do 1 year of speech therapy, for example. If I can just work hard for 1 year and then I'm done. And I'm sure that's what people think. People just don't realize that it's a lifestyle choice. You've got to change your whole mindset. You've got to change the way you approach things. Just everything has to change. And the best way that I like to describe it is, for better or for worse, I like to compare it with someone who is fat, an obese person. Say you're 130 kilos, 140 kilos, and you're not happy with yourself. You can go on a crash diet and you can lose 10 kilos in 1 weekend. And you might go, wow, best weekend ever. But then you go back to your life, you go back to your old eating habits, and you put the weight back on. If you really want to lose weight and keep the weight off, you have to change your diet. You have to go to the gym and work out. You have to change your lifestyle. Rather than catching a bus, you might walk to work. Instead of watching TV all weekend, you have to get out and exercise. You've got to change your whole lifestyle to get that weight off. And then you've got to stick to that lifestyle to keep the weight off. And that's a lifelong process. It's so easy. It's so easy to, or could be so easy, to fall back into the old habits of eating pizza and drinking 2-liter bottles of Coke, and next thing the weight comes back on. And it's the same for us. We can do speech therapy for a month, 6 months, a year, and it might hold up fairly well. But then if we forget about the speech therapy and we go back to our old speaking habits and we start avoiding situations again, next thing our comfort zone shrinks, our world starts to collapse, and we start stuttering again. So where I see most people fail is that they're still after that quick fix. They're not prepared to change their lifestyle, and they don't realize that they've got to make this change long term for the rest of their life. And that's the biggest failing I see, and that's what I try and preach the most to people coming through speech therapies, whether it be McGuire program or anything else, really, any speech therapy. It's a long-term process.
I totally agree with you, because like this is effort on daily basis, not only to apply the speech techniques, but also to fight with your fears. This is a continuous thing. Like each week I have to fight with my fears, and I have to take up the speaking opportunities that I'm getting. Each activity I do give me more confidence, and the more I keep away from speeches, or I don't come out of my comfort zone. So if I spend like a month like that, if I go into again to meet people, do something like that, I feel the pressure on me. My heart rate start raising too fast, and my breath is fast, and there are more blocks. So to keep, it's not only to keep applying the speech techniques. You have to apply those. You have to practice those, because this is your new way of speaking. Along with that, you have to fight your mental barriers that they are here. Because the moment you come out of the comfort zone, if you stop doing the effort, you will go into the gain. It's like a muscle. You keep pumping the muscle like exercise. Where it is? Yeah, this one. This one. You keep exercising it and it will growing. The moment you stop, it will go down. Same
Yes.
is the case with comfort zone. This is your circle. You are in the comfort zone. So the moment you keep pushing, it will start expanding, and more things will come into the comfort zone. And when you stop, it will, start squeezing. So this is the thing. So this is a long life effort. This is true. This is true. Whatever you are doing, whatever program or speech therapy you're doing, this is a lifelong process. Yes.
One more thing that is so important, incredibly important, and this is another thing where I see a lot of people fail, is asking for help. People are afraid to ask for help, especially when they're struggling. People are happy to call you up when they're doing well. Hey, listen to me, Neil, I'm speaking really well. But when they're struggling, people tend not to call you and ask for help. And that's when you should be asking for help the most. If you're struggling, reach out, get help. There's so many people out on these groups now who are willing to help you. If you're part of the McGuire program, there's no reason whatsoever that you can't find help. There's just help all around the world. But even if you're not part of one of these programs, there's help on the internet. I see people posting on these stuttering Facebook pages asking for help. So there's help all around us. There's no reason why you can't find help. So two most important things is when you're struggling and you need help, ask. That's all you have to do is ask for help. And it's a lifelong process. It's a lifestyle choice.
That's true. Like always when you are having issues, ask for help and see the opportunities that are there to help you get through this tough time, this your stuttering bumpy period, and get you onto the runway. So like the things I felt that most of the stammerer, they just procrastinate. Okay, we will do it later. Or second thing I see that they have a lack of belief whatever techniques they are using, that this is not useful. I will check. I will grab from that person. I will ask that person, and I will apply that. And this is the things I have. I know this is not useful. So I think that the belief is the main thing. Even you have just one technique to take a pause and to speak slowly. If you only know that and you have the belief in yourself, you can make it work.
Yeah.
And second thing is to procrastinate. I will do it later. Okay, I will go to speak to someone. I will do it later. So that's keep piling, and you are still going down. Yes.
Doing it later is too late. The moment has passed. Do it now. And just back on the asking for help thing, when you're trying to get somewhere, and this applies with anything, whether it be speech, business, you may be playing a sport and you're trying to climb up that ladder, you will have your ups and you'll have your downs.
Yes.
And I see a lot of people on stuttering programs, they have an up and they're flying high, and then they crash and they go, oh my God, I'm a big failure. It's all over. It's a waste of time. I'm out of here. And they're too scared to try again. They're so wrapped up in the fact that they failed for one day or a week or something. They're too scared to try again. Keep trying. It's not a continuous curve. You'll have ups and you'll have downs where you fail. Get back up and try again, and you'll crash again. And the overall curve will go up, but it's not a continuous curve. It's up and down and up and down. So every time you knock down, get back up again and have another go. And learn from the failures. Don't beat yourself up. ask yourself why you failed, why your speech went backwards. What happened? Were you not practicing enough? Did you stop pushing your comfort zones out? What can you learn from? You can learn from your good days and you can learn from your bad days as well. Every day is a learning day. And the more that you can look at your progress continuously and learn from every single day, the faster you will climb. If you only look at the good days and pat yourself on the back for the good days and then beat yourself up on the bad days, you're going to struggle for years. Look at yourself on those bad days and ask the questions why it was a bad day. What could I have done better that day?
That's true, Neil. I have applied the same thing in my life, especially when I'm speaking. Like, if I have spoken for like 15 minutes and I have stuttered for like 5 or 6 times, I said that is okay. That this is a success. I have spoken for like 15 minutes. To stammer, the stammer, the stammering is okay. Like when I stammer, I have analyzed myself. Like when I stammer, there is a thought in my mind, a fear, a shame is there. Okay, oh, I stammer. Oh, now my all hard work has destroyed. But now when I feel that feeling, there is a counter feeling I generate, that this is okay. This is my way of speaking. If I stammer, all people stammer, even the non-stutter, they also stammer. So this is okay to stutter. That is totally fine. So I did well done job. So I will go on. So if I stutter more, this is totally fine. There are days when there's too much blocks, but still I said that is thumbs up. Okay.
Oh, absolutely spot on. And like you said, when you've spoken for 15 minutes and you stuttered through 5 or 6 words, for example, was that a failure? You failed. Failed is not the right word to use, but let's just use it for this exercise. You failed for 5 or 6 words, so you failed for 5 or 6 seconds, but you just had 15 minutes of success.
Yes, that's
so. Isn't that the best thing ever? You've just enjoyed speaking for 15 minutes. What's 5 seconds of stuttering?
nothing.
Unfortunately, people who are new in their journey, they look at these 5 seconds of stuttering and they beat themselves up and they go back into their shell and they're, oh my God, I hope no one saw that. Oh, this is the worst conversation ever. And they forget about that 15 minutes that they just totally enjoyed. But it's easy to say that now. It's hard telling people who are new on their journey. It's hard telling them to accept this. But the thing we have to remember is, I may have learned to control my stutter fairly well, but I am still a stutterer. I still stutter.
Yes,
so if I stutter 5 or 6 times, of course, I'm still a stutterer. I'm not a fluent speaker. And if I'm kidding myself that I'm never going to stutter again, then I'm never going to succeed. And for me, it's about enjoying communication. It's not about being a fluent speaker. It's about enjoying conversations with people.
That's true. This is the main thing. Like, especially the stutterers, they search for perfect speech. But the perfect speech does not exist on this earth. Even the non-stutterers, they also stutter. So, like, the perfect speech does not exist. For example, the actors who give perfect dialogues on the screen, for this one dialogue, how much they have practiced. They try to speak, they forgot a sentence, they stutter, or like they don't get the right emotions into that. So how much they have taken the retakes and practice before delivering those, perfect dialogues. So all comes with practice. Even non-stutterers, they have to practice a lot. If they're going on TV, they're going to make a speech. There is always practice, and that's makes a man or a woman perfect.
Do you know Johnny Depp? You know Johnny
Yes,
Depp? The actor
yes,
Johnny Depp?
yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen him? Have you seen him on a talk show or in a public forum? He's a shocking speaker. He's like so many ums and ahs, and I don't see him a very good speaker at all. But fantastic actor, wonderful actor. But when it comes to speaking, I think I'd rather stutter than than speak like he speaks.
Yes, it is. So, like for us, we have to change our mindset, our way of thinking, to accept our stuttering. That is okay. And second stage comes in that is disclosure. That we also call that advertising. So, like for me, these are my super powers. It has, enhanced me, my skills, and make me a better person, a better speaker, not in my personal life, but also in the professional life. So, people ask for me that what is confidence? Like when I'm comfortable with me in my own skin, that is confidence for me. So when I'm okay with me, then I'm good to go and to go out and shine in the world.
But the hardest thing I think is for someone, especially someone with a severe stutter, the hardest thing for them is gaining this confidence. And for these people especially, it annoys me when I see people on Facebook who write the comments of just be confident, it's easy, and your stuttering will get less. It's simple, and they make it sound simple, but it's far from simple.
That's true.
And so for these people with a severe stutter, I think these people need techniques, especially to show them that they can speak to people. And these people need to learn things like breathing techniques, deliberate disfluency or stuttering on purpose, deep and breathy tone. These people need to learn techniques, and they need to go out into the real world with other people who have done it, so they can be shown that these techniques work. And once they make these techniques work and they can prove to themselves that they can speak in public without stuttering, then only then can they start to build this confidence. So I think it's very important to have physical techniques for some people to show them the way to get confidence. There's no other way for them to get confidence. When they stutter severely, how can you get confidence if you're going to stutter every single time? It's virtually impossible.
It's impossible.
So at least physical techniques can show people the way. Yes, you can. I've just shown you that you can go up to this person and you can ask them what the time is. Yes, you're still stuttering, but you're in control and you're looking confident. And this person you'll see a light in their eye. Oh, I can do it. And this is where they can start to build confidence. But the trap is, though, it's a double-edged sword. The trap is not to rely on these techniques for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Don't become a slave to the techniques. And the perfect example of that is John Harrison. He not that he used any techniques, but he doesn't use any techniques now. He lives off confidence and not holding back.
Yeah.
And so you can't become a slave to the techniques. Once these techniques start to work and they start to allow you to build confidence, you've got to let the confidence take over at some stage and slowly drop the techniques within reason. I still think it's important to keep your breathing going. Like if I start to rush and my breathing starts to get short, I will start to block. So for me, breathing is still important. So there are some techniques, minor techniques, which we have to use for the rest of our life. But like I said before, it's a lifestyle change. We chose this. We want to work on our speech, so we had to change our lifestyle. But some of the exaggerated techniques, we don't have to use those continuously for the rest of our lives. We can, at some stage, let confidence take over.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, if my arms are weak, to make them strong, I will do certain kind of exercises. And when they're strong, then I don't need them. Then I need a different kind of exercise. For example, if I'm sick, I'm having tablet each day. But as I am getting better, the doctor will taper the pill that I do to decrease that. Same is with the speech therapy techniques. So with time, you are getting better and you are more in control of speech. Then you have to modify and taper them according to your current condition to be in control. Yeah, that's true.
And another good example of working on your speech is comparing it with sport. And we use a lot of sports mentality in the Maguire program too. But say you want to get into tennis, and I'm an awful tennis player, but I've decided that one day I want to challenge Roger Federer. I'm aiming high, I know, but why aim low? So I pick up a racket and I go out on the tennis court and I'm hopeless. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Roger Federer would laugh in my face just by how I hold the racket. So what do? You practice, you go out and you practice and you practice and you practice. And you might get very good from practicing, but eventually you have to compete. You have to go out in the real world and compete. And the same with stuttering. You learn techniques, but one day you've got to go out on the street and you've got to use these techniques in real life. And you're going to fail. And the same with a sport. You'll go to a tennis tournament and you're going to get beaten. It just happens. And so when you get beaten, you look at what you did wrong. Why did he beat me? How did Roger Federer? How could someone as bad as Roger Federer beat me? What do I need to do to improve? So you've got to look at your game and improve your weak points, work on your strong points too, and you go back out and have another go. And the same with your speech. You've got to practice, but you've got to get out into the real world and compete with people. And you've got to be prepared to fail. And when you fail, go back and practice, go back in and have another go. So it's just like sport. So you've got to become good at the sport of speaking.
That's true. We do need to practice, hard. Like if we are thinking to compete a speaker, public speaker who is doing that for like 10 years, and you need to compete with that, then you need to move up your game. You have to practice more. You want to do it in short time, you have to put more working hours on practice. So this is the only way to do. That's true.
Lots of public speakers, apparently, if they're going to be a keynote speaker for example, they will get to the venue early. They'll go out onto the stage before there's any crowd there. They'll walk out onto the stage. They'll walk around the stage, have a good look. They'll imagine the crowd out there. They may practice their speech, and then they go away for a rest for however long. Then they come back out and do their speech. So even the best speakers in the world will do that. They get comfortable with their surroundings and make sure that they're on their A game. So even the best speakers in the world will practice.
That's true. And the number one fear in the world is public speaking. To face the public, this is the biggest fear. So even if you are a non-stutterer, this is the the main fear for everyone. So everyone need to learn that how to cope this fear, and that comes with a practice for sure. There is no tablet, or no you can say there is no technique, or there is a like a kind of meditation that makes you come over the fear. That comes with countering it with practice, to face the fear and to to smash it. Try in the first. You will fail, of course, but keep trying until you're able so strong until you have to beat it.
Absolutely, yes.
So Peter, it's going to be 1 hour. So any last words or things you would like to share with the stammer watching, or the people will watch in the future? Yeah.
I just thought, I was kind of hoping you'd ask me, what's my definition of stuttering?
Sorry, I forgot that.
And this is such a tricky thing. This is one of the worst questions you can ask, I think. Some people think they have the answer, but there's so many people out there who think they have the answer that you realize that no one's 100% right.
Yeah, that's true.
In my view, from a physical point of view, stuttering is the inability to vocalize or articulate a word. So you can't vocalize a word, you can't make any sound, you're just, no sound comes out. Or you can't articulate a word, so you can make sound, but you're like, and you just can't form the words. Or it's even a combination of both. You can start to form and you can make a sound, but you just can't get them synchronized.
Yes.
So from a physical point of view, that's what stuttering is. From a psychological point of view, this is where it gets complicated and tricky. And I can't even give you a clear answer, to be honest, but obviously fear is one of the things, but whether it's a missing link in your head or something, I mean, what even causes stuttering? Who knows? I had a good friend tell me the other day, his explanation was pretty good. He thinks that everyone has not everyone, more people than what we believe have the stuttering gene in them, but it takes a trigger to set that stuttering gene off. And there's probably a lot of people out there who haven't had this trigger set the gene off. But for us who do stutter, some trigger has caused us to start stuttering at some stage, whether it be a bully at school or a tough time in the household, maybe had abusive parents or something like that, or traumatic event happened. Could have been a car crash, who knows? But there could have been some trigger in your life that made that gene kick in and start to make you stuttering. So the cause of stutter is probably a little easier to explain, but what drives our stutter? What continues to drive our stutter for the next 10, 20, 30 years? And this, I think, is so different in so many people. It can be fear. It can be a psychological hold that someone has on you. Maybe there's still a bully in your life, an older brother, for example, who always talks you down. There are just so many things that can cause people to keep stuttering. And as much as people say stuttering is not a habit, and sure, stuttering's not a habit, but I think stuttering certainly causes habits which drive the stuttering itself. So
Yes.
it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We stutter because of fear, but then it becomes a habit. And even being scared of a situation, that itself can be a habit. You're in the habit of
Yes.
being afraid of public speaking. So you've got to try and break habits. So even though people say stuttering is not a habit, habits are such a huge part of stuttering, in my view.
Yeah, you are right, Neil. Like for me, like since the last 8 9 months, I've started, monitoring myself. So when a surge of fear is there, I see, okay, why it's coming into my mind. For example, I'm going to meet someone, I'm going to pick a call, I'm going to make a speech, or so what? Why the surge came? Like it just came. Like
Mm.
you can say this is an old way of thinking or old habits. It just come. So when it comes, I have made my mind more active. So when there is fear, my mind is more activated. Okay, why is there? Before, the action was uh, automatic. That was stress. That was fear and avoidance. But now I counter that thought. Okay, why this thought is coming? Why the fear is coming? What's wrong? Okay, if I'm going to make a speech, it's fine. I have uh, uh, prepared well, and if still I don't perform well, that is still okay. I don't need to be frightened and to stammer. That is okay for me. So the
Mm.
moment now, when the thought came to mind, I counter that thought, and the progress is going on. So people ask me what is, I say, okay, it's time to be fearless. So people say there is no such thing exists. Everyone, have the fear. I said, okay, there is fear, but when you counter that fear and put that fear down, that at that moment you become fearless. This is the thing.
Mm.
To be
Yeah.
human and to feel the fear, this is the most natural thing. But when you
Mm.
when you feel it, you analyze it and you overcome that fear. This
Mm.
is the way you become fearless.
Absolutely. But we have to change that habit, because even before we learn to do this, we can be in the habit of stuttering. Before I did the McGuire program, for example, I hated phones. And at one stage I was a supervisor for a roofing company. So I had to deal with builders. I had to go out to site, deal with builders. That wasn't too bad. But in the office, whenever the phone rang, I would not answer the phone unless I was the only person in the office. And one day the secretary had a go at me because she would purposely let the phone ring to see if I would answer it, and I wouldn't. And she had a go at me one day about how slack I was for not answering the phone, but she didn't understand. But that was a habit. I had a habit of fear in the phone. So now I've turned that habit around. I've learnt to love the phone, and now talking on the phone is a good habit. So even fears about habits, and just back on the lifestyle change of trying to improve our speech, that's a habit too. If you've promised yourself to make a lifestyle change to work on your speech, you're forming a new habit. That new lifestyle is your new habit. So that's why I say habits are just such a huge part of stuttering. It may not, habits may not cause stuttering, but habits are a major part of stuttering, in my view.
It is like someone should write a book like seven effective uh, habits for people who stammer,
Or anything.
something like that.
Business people. I watch too much TV. That's a bad habit.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I could watch less TV, I'd earn more money at work or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have less chores to do at home because I get more house chores done because I'd be watching less TV.
Yeah. So these are the choices we make.
Yeah.
So
Habits.
So we need.
Habits
Yes.
drive so many parts of our lives.
That's true. That's true. Good habits build a person and his life, and bad habits, they just destroy lives, people around them.
I just wanted to touch on something John Harrison said too. John Harrison talks about not holding back. He says if we could substitute stammering for not holding back. I agree and don't agree with this. As far as the term of stammering or stuttering goes, we can't change that. We can't just get rid of the word stammering and use the word holding back, because if we go into a new speaking situation, at the moment we can say to someone, I need to take my time because I stammer, so just bear with me and we'll get through this. You can't say to someone, I need to take my time because I'm holding back, so if you can bear with me. They'll go, holding back from what? What's holding you back? Just come in here and sit down. So as far as using holding back as a description for the way we speak, I don't think that works. It's a bit too vague, but his theory on holding back is 100% spot on. We hold back so much in our life as a speaker. And I think he used the example of when you're angry and you're in a rage and you need to tell somebody, you're not holding back one little bit. And more often than not, those words just fly out of your mouth, don't they?
Yeah, they just do. Like past few years, like 3-4 years, I try to keep my, when I was feeling that I'm going to stutter, I put myself on, on rage, on anger, so that the words come out of my mouth, more fluently. Now, with time and with practice and with more confidence, I have learned how to do that without going into rage and anger. Yeah, it does. It is. For me, the message from John Harrison about to replace stuttering with not holding back. I think this is more like, for me, it's like a mental thing. Like with words, I will say to people that I stammer or I stutter, but in my mind, I won't say that I stutter. In my mind, I will recall that. I will keep recalling myself that stop holding back. So for
Exactly,
me, I think this is more like a mental thing to remind myself. Okay, for people, for the world, the way with the world works, I have to tell them, discuss that I stutter. But in my mind, I have to remind myself this is the holding back. I don't have to hold back, so that I could keep controlling the fear and on the fear all the time, put the fear down, so that I can keep on moving forward, picking up the opportunities, meeting new people and doing stuff and so on.
Because if you're walking into a speaking situation and there's a little bit of fear there and you hesitate or you're holding back, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, then the fear just starts to build on top of each other. But if you don't hold back and you're like, let's do this, and you charge in there, you're leaving the fear behind. So definitely the not holding back is a huge part of improving your speech. But having said that, there are some people out there who I like to call happy stutterers. Those people who have tried speech therapy and they haven't stuck with it long enough, in my view. And that's the reason it hasn't worked for them. They just haven't stuck with it long enough. So they've gone back to their old stuttering ways, and they've tried so many speech therapies that they've given up in the end. And so they've had no other choice but to totally accept themselves as an out-of-control stutterer. I'm sure these people go into situations and don't hold back. So why do they still stutter? Or maybe that's just back to the habit thing. Maybe they're not holding back, but their habit of stuttering now is so strong that they can't help but stutter still. So that's a tough one to explain. They're not holding back, but they're still stuttering out of control. So that's one more reason why I think habits are such a huge part of stuttering.
Yeah,
What
that's
do you
true.
think
Like,
about that? The fact that people like that aren't holding back, but they still stutter.
yeah, like I totally, I agree with you with the term of habit. Like, for example, if a person, speaks and they move their hand a lot like this while talking, they're more doing like this. It's like habit. They can't help it, but they do stuff and they keep doing those things. A person, walking with a limp, still is not there, but sometimes they still try to walk like that because it becomes their habit. When you have when you have accepted that, okay, I stutter and I have to speak this way, so whatever the situation, you said, okay, this is my way of speaking, I will speak like this. So what if there is one person, 2, 10, or on the phone? It doesn't matter, I have to speak like this. Okay, so let's do it.
Absolutely. So your group, the Asian Association of Stuttering Organizations,
Yeah.
that's a mouthful for someone who stutters.
Yeah.
What, Asian Association of Stuttering, did I get that wrong? Asian Association of Stuttering Organizations.
Organizations. Yeah.
So
In short, you can say it like ASU.
Hustle.
Yeah.
That's much easier.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to achieve? What's your role in the world of stuttering Facebook pages?
Like in the first thing we are going to do here is to make collaborations and to work together, because there are different organizations around the world and working in their own capacity is to work together on different projects. And not only the awareness is there, and to put the new ways of thinking, how to manage and handle stuttering, to make a global platform for us stutterers to reach out, to connect, and to reform themselves, and if they require any resources and help, and to provide them those. Yeah.
Okay. So is that similar to STARWI? Do you know STARWI, the Stuttering Association for Women in India?
I don't have a clear picture what they are doing, but they are focusing on the women only. Here we are working with all around the globe, with people and with the organizations, to collaborate, combine our efforts to start innovative project that have a huge impact on structure, and to change the society, the way people used to think, especially stutters have hard time in getting jobs. So how to help them in those lines too.
Okay, cool. When did you guys start running?
Sorry.
When did you start your group?
We started last year. We started last year as Stammer Talk. Like it was like a self-help group. We started from that, and then we grown up, moved forward, and we developed into Pakistan Stammering Foundation, that is working in Pakistan, and that we formed this ASU to work and collaborate, globally.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice one. Good work. Well, I think you're doing a really good job.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you so much for giving us the time today, and speak out your heart and share your experiences and the things you have learned over years. And I hope this will help a lot stutterers. And any last few words, just a sentence that might help.
Yes, maybe a couple of sentences, not just one.
Okay.
So for those people, I see so many people jump on a Facebook page hoping to find a solution, and those happy stutterers say, don't worry about it, just stutter for the rest of your life, learn to accept it, and you'll be fine. And so I think for these people who are looking for a solution, they're told that there is no solution. There is a solution. Yes, you're still going to stutter for the rest of your life, but you can learn to control it to a level where you can enjoy communicating. So there is a solution. Don't listen to those people. Just because some people have tried everything and not stuck with it long enough and it hasn't worked for them, it doesn't mean it won't work for you. Okay? Give everything a go. If you really want to do something about your speech, if you've had enough and you want to make a change, you can. But it's hard work. You've got to persevere. You've got to change your lifestyle. But if this is what you want to achieve, it can be achieved. You can do it. So it's up to you. Don't listen to other people. If you think you can do something to change your life, do it. Don't listen to other people. Don't be a follower, be a leader.
That's true. This is a very thoughtful. Thank you, Neil. Thank you so much for giving us the time and sharing with us your life, your experiences, and especially your learned thought that you have gotten those through years of experience fighting with stuttering. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on board. I've enjoyed it. I hope I've reached someone. I hope I can make a change in someone's life. Hopefully someone can follow me. I know I just said don't be a follower, be a leader, but hopefully you can follow me and one day become your own leader. So that's hopefully, please tell me I've helped someone.
Well, I don't know about others, but you have helped me. I have learned so many things from you today. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for having me on board.
Thank you, Neil, and see you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.